mission is to improve public education and drive systemic school reform in Colorado. And as part of one of the strands that the foundation has been working on, blended learning has been an important one for probably the last 2.5, 3 years. And to that end, the foundation is really sort of approaching blended learning from a policy component and looking to see what sort of obstacles and impediments that the Colorado education statutes and rules and regulations, things of that nature, are out there that are sort of causing difficulties for actually implementing different technologies in the classroom. Whether that's at a school level, district level, state level, we're kind of trying to think about it holistically. To that end, some of the work that we've been doing is hosted a couple of summits in the last 2 years, published a report on blended learning, and I have an executive summary here if people are at all interested in looking at that. And then also been leading some visits to other schools around the nation, places like School of Law and Rocket Ship, schools of that nature.
So, Matt, can I interrupt you for just 1 second?
Sure.
I'm guessing most everyone in this room knows what blended is, but can you just give us like a 2-second definition for someone who's never heard the term?
Yes. Which is, yeah, it's perfect because, all these things that I just listed, I had nothing to do with any of them. I just came on like 4 months ago, 5 months ago, and I was asked to help take on some of the work that Amy Anderson, who's recently moved on to the Department of Education, she had started. And my first question was like, what is blended learning? Because I had no idea. And this is one of the definitions that I was kind of pointing at, and this comes from the Insight Institute. And it's essentially, it's a brick and mortar setting and incorporating online curriculum in some aspect. And then, the other important component is the time, place, path, and pace, which I always have trouble saying. But that student control and the ability to differentiate the type of curriculum that's being given to each student in a classroom. And that's kind of, I think, where a lot of the work that you guys are doing comes into play. So my experience with blended learning has been not even working. I guess I've been shadowing James because he is looking at implementing blended learning in his school at Rocky Mountain Prep. And the Odyssey School over in Stapleton, an existing school, they're also spending some time giving a lot of deep thought to exactly how they would implement some blended learning, whether that's math or literacy, into their existing culture, their next visionary learning school. And so that's sort of been my entry point into what blended learning is. And one of the reasons that I wanted to give a presentation here today, here's just another graph. This is sort of a different visual of another idea of what people consider blended learning to be. These 6 different models you have from a straight online school, face-to-face being the more traditional teacher sort of in charge of everything that's going on. And you have these other different ideas kind of in between.
Can you define those? What, like rotation and flex?
Maybe I'll let James say rotation because he's looking at doing that.
The rotation model is in a classroom where you have different centers, and one of the centers is online curricula. A flex model is where students are mainly engaging in online curricula in a brick and mortar institution, and then teachers are pulling them out as they need in different flexible groupings.
Yeah, I think the flex is probably a little more common with like dropout recovery and credit enhancement type programs. Self-blend is kind of, I think, where most of America is at, where you just have the students selecting if they want to supplement their education. They're gonna take an AP class from somewhere else that maybe is not offered at their school, things of that nature. Part of the reason I wanted to get up in front of everybody today is that there are a fair amount of policy challenges in the state of Colorado. And just to kind of throw that out to you guys, I have a laundry list. This is just the first of 2 slides, but there's an opportunity here to engage with policymakers, and whether that's at the school administration level with state legislators. If you're a teacher, you have that unique opportunity to go up through the principals and kind of implement it in your classroom, and then how that actually goes from the grassroots up. Some of these that I have listed up here are more of at the state level, like the subject matter competency versus seat time requirements. Colorado has a requirement of 160 days in the classroom in order to move on. I think at an hourly basis that comes
many schools is there in a conventional year?
Thank you. Yeah, 180-ish. But one of the things that people are experiencing with that is that, using these different technologies, and if kids are sort of leading to, kind of self-teaching, going out and pulling stuff for themselves, or you have actual definitive curriculum that's being administered in the classroom that's kind of based on online models. You're going to have kids moving faster than other kids. You're going to have people who are completing this coursework in less time than 176 hours. And this opportunity to move kids beyond that is something that probably needs to be addressed when you're looking at how kids are advancing, besides just looking at the actual seat time requirements. I'm going to run out of time, but there's a list of these policy challenges. I've got a few more. One of the ones we were talking about earlier was development for teachers. Like, how do teachers actually, get the skill sets to teach using online tools in the classroom? And I've been looking around to see what sort of colleges and universities offer courses in that area, and there hasn't been a lot that I've seen. Boise State has some programs. I'd love to know more if other people have been looking into it, whether that's for students who are studying to become teachers or if it's professional development. And then the last thing is that one of the things that Donald K. Foundation is getting ready to do over the next couple of months is pulling together a series of convenings, and we're still trying to figure out what the exact subject matter is going to be, what these topics are going to be. We're looking at doing 3 different events. Most likely there will be webinars, bringing in some folks from nationally recognized people who have spent a lot of time thinking deep about this and talking through some topics. These topics that are up here are not set in stone. These are just some ideas that are being thrown around, but I'd be happy to get that information out to everybody who's here